Hey everybody! Continuing my series of the colored resin tray sets with 2 coasters, and I'm going to do green today. We're going to mix the resin first and then I'll come back and show you everything I'm going to use. I've got a 32 ounce measuring container. Today we're using Counterculture DIY Artist Resin medium viscosity. We're going to do 32 ounces. 16 of B first, (16 ounces of A, which is much thicker than the B. Got my timer set for 6 minutes. I'm going to hit start. Medium viscosity is the way to go for any kind of special effects that you want in your resin. Always wear gloves, have a mask on if you can, eyewear or glasses, just to cover all your openings, eyes and nose and mouth is a recommended thing, even though it may say no VOCs for any brand or whatever. It's just better to err on the side of caution. I have a window open year-round, just slightly, summer or winter, and a ceiling fan at least going on low, so there's always some kind of ventilation. There is no fumes with this particular resin, but it's still just better to err on the side of caution. It's going to be cloudy at first. You don't need to go any faster than this. If you go faster, it really serves no purpose, and it'll also make more bubbles as well. This is the speed I mix, and I can go back and forth or around the edges to mix all that A and B together really well in 6 minutes. We got about 4.5 minutes left. I'll be back at the end of that time. Okay, it's been 6 minutes. Now we're going to go to stopwatch and hit start, and we're going to start the timer. And that's very important in this process where you're trying to get a special effect in the resin. I'm going to move that out of the way and just show you some things that I'll be using. We're going to mix up a small couple ounces or so of white. I'm going to use mostly Pinata alcohol ink in white, Armor Art epoxy pigment paste in white, and then I have a green I'm going to mix up, and that'll be mostly a lily pad by this little piggy Fluid Art Company. Everything will be listed below the video in my links. And then I've got some inks like Ocean Green. These are all Bray Reese. Cobalt Green, Kelly Green, Olive Green, and I have a butter, shimmer butter, which is a shiny metallic kind of yellow. The coasters and the 13-inch silicone mold for the tray, they all come from Amazon, and these come in a 4-pack, and they hold about 4.5 ounces or so of resin. I'm only going to put about 3 ounces in each one today, so that'll be a total of 6 there, and the other 26 ounces will go into this mold, which holds way more resin, more like 32 or 40 ounces or so. I'm only going to put 26 in, and I'll put a top coat on it when it's cured, and we pull it out and look at the other side. We'll top coat it, put some knobs on it, but with the top coat and how much resin we put in the mold, it'll be at least a 1/2 inch or more thick, and it'll be about 3 pounds or so, and that's plenty thick enough for a tray. You could totally fill this up to the top, but you don't have to, because 26 ounces plus a top coat is plenty of resin for this mold. The other thing to have around is 91% alcohol, which I've got in a spray bottle, baby wipes, and these together are fabulous for cleaning up stuff. You'll want a little piece of masking tape just to get any little crumbs out, or fur or hair. That's great for that. I have a 300 watt low temp heat tool from Counterculture DIY, and you can also get one on Amazon. 1800 watt heat gun, a culinary torch, and I just tape paper towels around it just to keep sticky hands from being all over the body of the torch and layering up that cured resin. And a pair of tweezers to pick out anything that might drop into your resin. I've got a skewer that I'll use to like drag through it to make a design. I've got a little spoon. It's about the size of my pointer finger. Usually those will come sometimes with the product that you order, or you can find them on Amazon, usually with the silicone tools, like a silicone brush, which is what I use all the time to spread out resin. And once it cures, you just pull it right off. It tears off. So a lot of times you can get a little pack of tools that have maybe silicone brushes and tweezers and sometimes little spoons. You can also, there's these little mini spoons that sometimes come with different things, and nothing else. You can also just use the end of your craft stick to put your mica on or pigment or whatever and use it instead of a spoon. So you have lots of options. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm only at 5 minutes, and I'm going to come back at around 15 minutes or so. Okay, we're at 16 minutes, almost 17, and the resin is starting to warm just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put in a 3-ounce cup, probably 2 ounces or a little bit more than 2 ounces, maybe 2.5. And then for the color, I'm going to go about 4 ounces. So real quick, we're going to go ahead and mix, and we're going to put the lily pad. I'm going to do 2 very healthy spoonfuls. Stir it first, and that's why I keep a paper towel under my cup, is so if the mica flies around, it doesn't land in your mold where you don't want it to be. And that looks pretty good. I am going to take I think the cobalt green, which is pretty vivid. I'm going to do 2 drops and see what that looks like. And that'll just deepen it just slightly, but we still get that beautiful metallic shine from the lily pad mica. And that looks really good. I'm going to put that aside. For the white, the Armor Art pigment paste. Okay, we're going to do the stick in and then wipe off just to where it's just a little bit on the tip of your stick, but not a lot. The Angel Wing mica is from Counterculture. It's kind of a golden pearl color, and it does give a pretty little bit of a golden shimmer. So I'm just going to put a little spoonful in. And then the white alcohol ink by Pinata. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drops. Make sure to wipe your stick on the sides, because that pigment will stick to your stick and get it mixed in really well. And so that has a little bit of a golden shimmer, which probably does not show in the camera, but that's okay. All right, so now we're going to move the paper towel, and I'm going to go a little over halfway in the coaster molds, which is around 3 ounces. The rest will go in here. We're at 22 minutes. I put my tip of my stick in, and it helps get the gold leaf out, and you just want a little bit. You don't want, kind of less is more. All right. I am going to add a little white crystal. I forgot the white crystal. I'm going to put just a tiny little bit into my white. I forgot to add that. I just want a little bit for extra sparkle. I don't want this very heavy though from pigment. That's why it's mostly alcohol ink. And tiny, just a very tiny bit of pigment. I just want it nice and shimmery, which it is. This is the bottom side of our piece that we're working on, because the top, when we take it out, that'll be the top side. So I'm gonna start with Kelly Green. Don't put as much into your coasters because it becomes super pigmented and sometimes you can't see your white through it. This is cobalt. I'm going to go every couple of drops. On that. And then I'm going to go in again. Maybe about 3 in the coaster. This shimmer butter is yellowish and I want it kind of in the middle. Putting a couple of drops, maybe 2 in the coaster. I think I'm gonna add mustard, which is kind of a golden, right in the middle. Want it a little bit deeper behind that silver leaf, just a bit. Okay, so I have olive. Let me see what it looks like. Sometimes when you drop it in, you can tell. It's not bad. Didn't mean to do that. Just do 3. I think I'll go mustard right here on the inside. It's kind of all discombobulated in the coasters, but that's okay. 27 minutes. Let's go ahead and swirl these around. It's very yellow in the middle here. And the silver leaf is kind of running all around, so I'm trying to corral that back in a little bit. So now I'm just kind of going back the opposite way. I think I want a little bit more pigment though. More ink. So I'm going to add a little bit more right in this area. Let it spread out a bit. We're at 29 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and put the green in. I think I want 2 more drops of the cobalt in the lily pad mica. And we're going to go around the edge of the tray, and this adds more resin into it of our 26 ounces. This is part of the 26 ounces, is this color going in. With a torch and alcohol inks or alcohol, which you can spray anytime. I could spray alcohol right now just to release bubbles besides using a torch. It will make little dots in your alcohol ink, but it'll go away. It'll kind of land in the alcohol and then it won't. But torch on alcohol or alcohol ink sometimes can flame up a little bit, so that's why you want to make sure it's kind of intermingled in with your resin and it's not laying on the surface, because you have more chances of flames. So don't go close to your resin. And also just don't go close to the silicone mold either with your heat as much, because it will sometimes make your resin stick to your mold when you're trying to release it. We're at 33 minutes. I'm going to start over here and just do little tiny spiral all the way to the edge of that green. Okay, and then in the middle here. And I like to keep it tight if I can. Like not a lot of space between your spirals on this particular style. You can even cross over, it really doesn't matter. But pretty healthy lines and pretty tightly together. I'm taking it all the way to the edge of that green mica. And that also helps promote the white to kind of start to slide in and move towards the center a little bit. And the other thing I'm going to do is just work on this green, not touching the white part, just the green, and moving it out to the edges and the little grooves. It's 36 minutes right now. We're going to drag in. Okay, now I'm going to go in between. And I have been just kind of swirling, and I think this time I'm going to just do points. I'm going to change it up on this one. And you can swirl in the center here a little bit. And we'll do the points on this, even though it's not 16, it's 8 points, but it'll still have a pretty effect, I hope. Again, try not to drag out your silver leaf that's underneath. Try not to touch down that low. I'm going to turn this one around. It seems to be shifting a little bit. Okay, and let's swirl just a tiny bit on the surface. And that's it. You don't want to ever use a blow dryer. Someone asked that question on Facebook or maybe in a YouTube question. A blow dryer would blow your design all over the place and it would ruin it. This blows out more air than the 1800 watt heat gun, but if you do it on low, it's not too bad. But when you have a design like this, you do not want to blow it. So it's better to use your heat gun on low or your torch. Your other option is always, anytime you can use the 91% alcohol and it won't harm anything. You can put it in an empty mold before you put your resin in to help with eliminating bubbles. You can put it in during your while you're creating, and you can do it at the end. So anytime you want to. This has a little more yellow gold look than I really wanted, but at least it gives it some variety, and it's not all just green looking. So we're going to wait about 4 to 5 hours, and it'll be cured enough to where we can touch it without it being tacky, and we can unmold it and see what it looks like on the other side. So I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 4.5 to 5 hours, so I'm going to unmold this. It's pretty on this side just alone by itself. And there's the other side, which is very pretty. There's that, and then there's that. I got some blobs. That one not so bad. A little bit sticky in places, but anyway, I love it. It's really kind of the color tones I wanted. A little bit more yellow than I want, but that's okay. And I'm going to flood coat this. I've got on parchment paper, which is really easy to pull resin off of. It won't stick to it, and make it a little easier. I'm going to make up about 4 to 5 ounces of resin, and I'm going to use Blue Label Fast Set. Got my little 3-ounce cup marked at around 2 to 2.5 ounces. You can do 4 to 5 ounces. 4 is really about all you need. And before I mix that, I've got gold and silver knobs, and now that I see it on the piece, I put silver in the middle, but I feel like the gold goes better, so I'm going to use gold knobs. And again, like the regular medium viscosity, same with this, mix for 6 minutes, B first and then A, and just stirring consistently. Cloudy at first, and there's going to be a lot of bubbles because this is much thicker, and I'll be back at the end of 6 minutes. So we're going to take both of these coasters, very quickly, just in a kind of a sweeping motion, like little curves, and it works really well for those geode jagged edges because it's a thicker resin and it just kind of stops at the edge. You have 10 minutes working time, and it cures in an hour or two, so you have to work really, really fast. You cannot take your time and be careful on this. And you know, if you start with just doing a coaster or two till you learn how to work with the consistency and the timing it takes, and then you can build up to 4 coasters or a tray and 2 coasters, something like that. I like to put this top coat on just because it gives it a glassy look. And it also is a way for me to mount the knobs without screwing them in. And I had somebody ask me on Facebook, why do you put the knobs on? Because when they lay flat, they really kind of are heavy. They weigh about 3 pounds. The trays do when it's all finished. And if you have long nails or it's just difficult to pick the tray up without having some knobs. So I recommend, handles or knobs. It just makes it easier, but you don't have to put knobs on your piece. I just like to do that so that people can pick it up easier. It's still flexible because I took it out at 4.5, 5 hours, so it's not had a real chance to sit up all the way or cure all the way. This is just an added layer of depth also, besides giving it a glassy look, because sometimes the molds don't leave a real glassy look when it comes out. So the top coat always makes it look like just another layer of dimension. It's really, really pretty. So to me, it's worth the extra 4 to 5 ounces of resin you're going to use. You could use medium viscosity, which is what we made the piece with, but then you would have to do the liquid latex underneath, and it would go over the edges most likely, and I can just control this so much better. It's the fast set. Okay, now I'm going to take my gloves off and make sure because my hands are clean, and then just find somewhere across from each other, and I'll wiggle and go, in circles or back and forth, and I just do this for a minute until it feels really like it's got a tight bond. That resin will kind of just grab in and go around the knob, but you can put a little bit in there and kind of push it up to the edge of the knob. Just don't touch the knob with your resin, the crystal part. It's nighttime. I'm going to go to bed and I'll check it tomorrow, but fast set cures within 2 hours to the touch, so I could literally be touching this and everything in 2 hours, but I'm going to wait till the morning, so we'll be back and I'll show it to you outside.